Hey, Nation, back with Bob Coppedge. Bob, how you doing?
Peachy, but we're both getting ready for storms.
That's true. And
Yeah.
I'll have you know, folks, we're recording this on Groundhog's Day. He saw his shadow, so we have 6 weeks of winter remaining. But, with climate change, I don't know how that is the best barometer or not. But
Yeah.
hey, let's get serious. The topic of the day, the topic of the year is cybersecurity insurance. And you had a funny phrase as we were talking off camera, the traveler's dilemma. Go.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we've seen a lot of our companies, and there's adjustments going all over the place where insurance providers found out they're losing their shirts by
Yeah.
paying off these things. And so they're either increasing the requirements or increasing the fine print. And travelers insurance was the poster child that we ran into, at least, that they just came out with at renewal time to all of their existing clients. You have to have these methods of multi-factor authentication in place, or else we're dropping you. And so we refer to this lovingly as the traveler's dilemma. And so we had a box set of here's our solution, and we had travelers bless it for us, so that we can go to each of our clients and basically say, both reactively and proactively, if you're using travelers, or in some cases we knew they were, here's what you're going to have in place for them to renew you. And in some cases, they're good practices anyway.
Yeah.
And it's always easier, especially as a managed service provider, it's always easier to sell a service when you can blame it on somebody else. So if you basically go back, I want you to be more secure, but more importantly, your insurance company won't renew you unless you have this in place. So it's not me trying to sell you these extra snake oil pieces. It's critical pieces of your organizational structure are requiring it in order for you to continue to do business.
Yeah. What do you hear? You circulate a little bit. Are you hearing any MSPs going to exit the industry, or have they been denied insurance? Any tales from the trenches?
Oh, absolutely. And it's one where for every MSP that answers those types of conversations, there's probably 30 that aren't and are really, really hoping they're never asked.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in Sturgeon's law, which is Theodore Sturgeon was a science fiction author in the 50s and 60s. And he had a simple rule: 90% of everything is crap. And the fact of the matter is a majority of organizations are subpar. And I mean no disrespect to any MSP or any business in general. It is tough. It is very, very tough. And there's a lot of organizations that just aren't MSPs and otherwise who really can't address the security because they're not at that level of maturity.
Yeah.
And if they're not required to, and no one is calling them on it, they can kind of whistle past the graveyard. But they're basically one bad day with one client that goes south, or a company that goes south in the case of a non-MSP, away from it being catastrophic in terms of the damage to them or to their client.
And finally, let me make sure I understand the workflow. So you have the small medical clinic on a remote island, okay? And they would probably have their own cyber insurance here on the left hand. And then you're the MSP that serves a bunch of SMB businesses. So you too are going to want to have cybersecurity insurance, because the medical clinic may come after you, right? Saying, shame on you. It was your gateway that the bad guy got through. Is that they both, you got to be double insured is what I'm
only double. So let's extend that. Let's have some fun. The patient goes to the clinic. Their records are then stored and managed or monitored by the MSP. They're being stored in a third party who's actually outsourcing their storage to a farm. So you've got the client, the employees of the clinic, the MSP who was using a third party, and the third party who was storing their resources. Everybody gets sued. It's a free nation. So everybody gets sued. And one of the things is we all have to be able to basically prove that we did best practices. We did reasonable care due diligence. Now, You brought up one that's healthcare, so healthcare is guided by HIPAA, so there are specific requirements there, and those requirements go up and down the supply chain.
Yeah.
You could have the same thing for somebody who is doing DoD work that has CMMC requirements, which is really NIST plus, or FIPS or ITAR or any of these things. But then you also have the great wasteland of other companies who aren't necessarily driven by any kind of compliance requirements, but still have to show that they took reasonable precaution.
Yeah.
And one of the things from an MSP standpoint is you have to make sure that you're not, in your marketing materials, that you're not out there marketing what a fantastic solution you are, cybersecurity, if you ain't got nothing to back it up with. It's so it goes all the way up and down, and it is a fascinating conversation to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, finally, assuming that events return in 2022, that's a big assumption, fingers crossed. Name one or two that we might see at.
DataCon.
Okay,
absolutely. I will absolutely be at DataCon. Those are one of the best shows. And I always like IT Nation, the one and I cannot keep track of what they're calling them now or whatever, but the IT Nation, the one that's down in the fall, November.
Yeah, Orlando. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I may actually be doing some CompTIA stuff, so who knows?
Yeah. No, good on you. Well, sir, thank you.
Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit all the above. I'm also going to one, and I'll drop you a note, and Jenny, let's put it down in the blog. IT Expo in Fort Lauderdale, third week of June. I'm really familiar with this show. 7,500 attendees from TMC, a technology publisher, and Bob, what's really cool about it is they're best known for co-located shows. So IT Expo's the super show is the headline, but they have 5G and big data and analytics. And I'm involved in the cannabis technology track. And so that's what they're known for, is these co-located shows. So you can really kind of bounce between rooms and do this and that. And the reason I say this is it's very different than going to, say, the couple shows you mentioned, but I'll pick on Cisco. The Cisco Partner Conference is about Cisco. Okay, right. That's what the show is. Yep. IT Expo is an independent show with co-located shows. So that makes it really cool. So keep it on your radar screen, my friend.
I'll look for more details from you.
All right. Okay, take care. Thanks.
Bye.